start by calling the roll, please.
Chair,
Present?
Controller's Office,
Present.
Public Advocate's Office,
Present.
Borough President Manhattan,
Present.
Borough President Brooklyn,
Present.
Borough President Queens,
Oh, here.
Borough President Staten Island,
Present.
Borough President Bronx, International Brotherhood of Teamsters,
Here.
Transport Workers Union,
Here.
District Council 37. We have a quorum.
Okay. So unless we have anything anyone would like to raise, I'll turn it over to the Controller's Office.
Okay, great, thank you. So at the top of the agenda here, we've got the performance reviews for the quarter, March ending, and then for private equity real estate, the December quarterlies, and Callan's performance summary. And so what I'd like to do right now is just open it up for anyone who may have any questions. We have all the teams here in case you do have questions. But if not, then I thought we'd just move to the next agenda item. Okay? Everybody okay? Okay, great, thank you. So we'll now move to the April monthly performance review. Everyone has that in front of them? Okay. So I thought I'd start out with just some backdrop here. And if you remember last month's meeting, it's pretty much about the same, which actually is good. So we have the similar setup here. We've got the U.S. economy continuing to do okay. We have the U.S., the EFA, the developed equity markets, and emerging markets actually still reasonably priced, and in some cases cheap with respect to emerging markets when you look at the average 10-year price-to-earnings ratios. So again, we're still looking pretty reasonably priced even with this strong equity market. The next thing, the fact that the 10-year Treasury is still at 2.6%. And in fact, it actually dipped a bit below 2.5% recently, which says to us that the U.S. economy is doing okay, but certainly not strong enough to trigger the Fed to start announcing that they're going to raise rates anytime soon. So that's a good thing from the bond market. So we basically had what I think is a very good backdrop for the NYCERS portfolio. And we'll look at that when we look at the April and May numbers. So why don't we do that? If you turn to page 27, so the month of April, the Russell 3000, basically flat but up about 12 basis points. The EFA markets up 1.45%. The emerging markets up about 33 basis points. You scroll down a few more rows, the core plus 5 up over 1%. You turn to the next page, you see high yield up about 70 basis points, and tips up 1.35%. So that's April. You look at the next page, and these are the May numbers. And May was a very good month. Russell 3000 up over 2%. The EFA markets up 1.62%. The emerging markets continuing strong, up nearly 3.5%. You go down to core plus 5, and that's up 1.44%. Turn to the next page, and high yields up a little over 1%, and tips up 2.12%. So that's May. So the next page, 31, we'll go back to April and just show you how we made our money in that month. And for the 1 month, the total fund, again, this is for April, was up 48 basis points. So you go a couple columns over, then the fiscal year to date through April, the total fund is up 13.21%. Now, if you add in May, which we just went through, which we estimate was we're up about 2%, that would mean that the NYCERS pension fund for fiscal year to date through May is up 15.21%, which is a very strong number. Absolutely, touch wood. Exactly. So far so good in June, but you're right, there's a week to go. So you turn to the next page, 32, And this is how we're set up as of the end of April. So you can see here, as we've talked about before, we are now within the ranges of U.S. equity and Core Plus 5, as you can see in the green bar to the left, and then the blue bar to the right. So we're in line, we're within our ranges. Now, the assets under management that you see on this page shows that the NYCERS fund is at $51.8 billion, and again, that's at the end of April. I can tell you that as of June 19th, which is last Thursday, the fund is now at $53 billion, which is the highest it's ever been, and it's a very strong number. So then let's turn to page 37. And this shows the market values for NYCERS over this last year period. And again, if you take into account the June 19th number, which I just mentioned at $53 billion, that means that the NYCERS pension fund over this last year has added $6 billion to its market value in 1 year, which is great. The next page shows the 10-year numbers. And keep in mind, again, this $53 billion number, which is a great number. And then the bottom here below shows the 10-year return for NYCERS as of April 30th is 7.41%. Now you add in May and what we see so far in June, again, so for this last week, that number should look even better. So the next several pages are the manager returns by month, both in the public markets, and then behind that are the real estate cash flows and the private equity cash flows. And if there aren't any questions, then we'll move to the next item. Okay, thanks. Now, one thing before we go on, I just wanted to talk to the board for a second. I just wanted to, for those who don't know, let you know that my last day in the office is June 30th. And I really just wanted to thank all of you for a fantastic 4 years. It's really been an honor and a privilege to serve the NYCERS members, retirees, and beneficiaries. And I'm really proud to have contributed, along with everyone in this room and the entire BAM team, to what I think are very strong results for the NYCERS Pension Fund over the last 4 years. So thank you very much.
On behalf of our Executive Director, Lillian Roberts, and District Council 37, tens of thousands of members, tens of thousands of retirees, and myself personally, who have had the great pleasure and honor of working with you over the 4 years. Thank you for your extraordinary achievements here at BAM, and on behalf of my organization, and I'm sure I speak for everyone here, I wish you all the best of luck going forward, and what I'm sure will be the next step in your brilliant career.
Here, here.
Thank you very much, Ray.
Go ahead, Pat.
I did call you on the telephone, but I'll say it here at the board meeting. I wanted to thank you so much for your very, very hard work and diligence and all of the good things you've done for us. Very much appreciated.
Thank you, Pat. Thanks.
Thanks, Pat.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you. So the next item is an update on the basket clause, and I'm going to turn it over to Susanna.
I think we all sort of know where we stand. It's a very good place. The basket bill passed both houses last week at the compromise 30% level. We're just waiting for the governor to sign the legislation. He has 90 days. We don't anticipate any problems, but if anybody can get him on the horn and wants to give a call, feel free.
It's 90 days, not 30 days?
It's 90 days is what I thought it was a year, so.
I thought it was 30.
Jenna told me yesterday it was 90.
Interesting. Okay.
I think it's good. If I may,
Yes.
the bills go over to the governor in batches from now until the end of the year. And then Diane, you were there as well. My understanding is that he has 10 days at that point to do this, unless the rules have changed and I'm unaware of. Diane, do you know?
Once it actually gets on his desk, he has 10 days.
Yeah,
Mhm.
but they
Once
send
he
them over
gets
in
it.
batches.
Right, yeah, you wouldn't get them, okay.
So,
Well,
oh, okay.
well, we're gonna stay on top of it, and we'll let everybody know when it's signed, and then, you know, we'll figure out what we're gonna do with the added.
Yeah. Would you like us to do something at this point?
I don't think so. I think we're in pretty good shape. If you're doing stuff on other bills and have a line into the governor's office, you know, feel free to just reiterate your support. Everybody's letter, we put a package together with the governor, so everybody's letter and memo was already sent on.
I guess the question is what gets into a batch and when?
Right. I
I
know.
mean, somebody makes the call, right, what bills.
It's up to the house that passed it first, and they decide, when it goes over.
But there's probably some coordination in. I know we signed a whole load of bills yesterday on, I think on heroin and drugs, was that it? Yeah. So, we'll see. That's a great job though, really great. 30 is a hell of a lot better than what we had.
Mhm.
We did it together.
Okay, thanks. So, next item is a topic that I believe Pat wanted to
CII.
discuss.
The Council of Institutional Investors, and Karen Mazel has attended these as well. I don't know if anybody else here, Larry did in the past. And John, I brought it up, and Scott came this time, I saw him at one of the evening things, that I wanted to bring it up because I do think that it's a very valuable meeting for trustees. And trustee education is something that we always want to keep up with, and the topics are current. I know that the International Foundation of Employee Benefit Plans is another excellent organization. And their meeting, their annual convention is in Boston this year in October. Now, the one I attended was in Washington, D.C. That's the spring meeting of CII. And then there's one in the fall, which moves around the country. But the one in Washington is so easy to get to. And it's really inexpensive, and we're a member. Karen, do we pay an annual fee to?
Yes, we have an independent membership. The other systems all collectively have a membership, but we have an independent membership, which means we have an independent vote at the council.
Yeah, and Mike Oliver ran for a position, and he didn't make it, but I think next time he will. He's so good at what he does, our person who's in charge of the pension policy unit. Now, in the past, this one wasn't as exciting as some of the others. It was just strictly corporate governance, which after a while, you know, you want a little something going on. Now, the one I really loved, there were a couple. One was with Matt Taibbi. Matt Taibbi, who writes for Rolling Stone, and he was so good. You know, I bought his book. He was, after he spoke, Vanessa signed and all that. He was good. The guy from Olympus was phenomenal too, because he escaped with his life. And what a story to tell. You know, Olympus, he was the president of Olympus, cameras and other items that they made. And he saw that there was malfeasance. They want to know about malfeasance, the folks. So there was big denial about that. And he actually said that he ran for his life. He got on an airplane and went to Hong Kong so that he could be safe. So those are the kind of things I enjoy in the midst of corporate governance and some other issues that are
Drama.
Yeah, a little bit of excitement, a little bit of stuff like that. But I thought just bring it up to your attention and say that maybe you want to consider it next year. It'll be April of 2015. It's a short trip to Washington, D.C.
We also have an independent membership to IFEBP. So if you want to attend any of their conferences, we get the member rate. I know Ray just attended one, and I think he thought it was very helpful.
Yeah, it
You're
was
going great, right?
good, yeah, it was great, and there's one since Brad. I'm also behind those,
The annual convention's in Boston this year, right?
That is correct.
I signed up for that as well, but I have to make a choice between that and going to Tuscany.
Oh.
So you know what I mean?
Tuscany's in front
Is
of
the
them.
Boston one in the fall? That's the fall
October.
one.
Can have something like that.
Is the one in the spring always on governance, or do the topics
No,
vary?
it's broader than that.
Okay.
Yeah. This year there was a very heavy emphasis on proxy access, all the issues and the like. But the good thing is, since we're a member, there's meetings that break up with
Right.
public employees is one of the meetings. And you can say what you want to say in that meeting. If you want to see something introduced, if you have a topic and all, you bring that up and they consider it. So we have input, which is good.
Thank you. Great, thank you. So that concludes the public session of the Controller's Office.
Do we have a motion to go into executive session to discuss personnel issues and investments? Thank you. Second, all in favor, please say aye. Aye. No one opposed, so we'll go into executive session. We need a minute.